An age-old question, is blow drying or air drying your hair better for you? Well, the answer to this question really depends on what better means for you. But if you're interested in what method of drying is healthiest for your hair, stay till the end to find out. My name's Erin, and I'm a stylist at Hair Cuttery, and today we'll be going over the pros and cons of blow drying and air drying your hair. To start out, we'll go over the benefits of blow drying your hair. Blow drying your hair can seal down the cuticle layer and help reduce frizz. A great way to visualize this is to think of your hair like it's a pine cone. When the cuticle is open, the scales are sticking up. This leaves your hair susceptible to damage. And when the cuticle is sealed, the scales are laying down. This means that your hair is being protected. Now, a sealed cuticle locks in moisture and locks out humid air. This is going to help your hair stay hydrated and frizz-free, which is always a win. Blow drying your hair also helps create volume. If you blow dry your hair upwards and off of the scalp, you're telling it where you want it to live and how you want it styled. And who doesn't like a little extra volume? Another benefit to blow drying your hair is a reduction in fungal, bacterial, and yeast growth. If you ever have itchy hair the day after you wash and you wonder why this is happening, this could be a reason to look towards. And if you go to sleep with wet hair, or even if you're out and about and just leave your scalp wet for extended periods of time, this can create an environment more prone to bacterial, fungal, and yeast growth. This is because a damp environment, especially your damp scalp, is a breeding ground for these issues to spawn into. By blow drying your hair, you're keeping your scalp dry, so you don't have to worry about these issues popping up. Now for our next benefit, we'll touch a bit more on this later, but leaving your hair wet for long periods of time can also create cell membrane damage. This is because water causes your hair to swell. This repeated, prolonged exposure can cause damage on the inside of your hair, making it weak and damaged. Now, the last benefit to blow drying your hair is arguably the most important reason, which is styling. I mean, who doesn't want their hair to look and feel amazing? Blow drying is an amazing way to style your hair, and you can choose from a million different ways to do so. From a bouncy blow dry to a sleek and straightened look, your choices are in the millions, so use that to your advantage. Now that we've gone over some of the pros of blow drying your hair, we'll move into the pros of air drying your hair. And while this list isn't quite as long as the blow dry list, there are still some really great benefits that I think a lot of people would really appreciate. Now let's get into the pros of air drying. One of the biggest reasons I hear for why my clients like to air dry their hair is simply for the convenience. Most people love the flexibility of a wash and go style and the low commitment and maintenance of their hair. Whether it be for the fact that you can't be bothered to style your hair, or simply if you don't have the time for a full blow dry, air drying your hair can be perfect for your lifestyle if you're an on-the-go person. Another benefit of air drying your hair is the lack of heat damage. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good bouncy blowout, but without proper precautions, heat damage can really mess up your hair. Thankfully, this is why we have heat protection. I know we all go without using it from time to time, but it's super important to make sure your hair is protected before you put any external heat on it. So make sure you always have your favorite heat protectant on you. Now that we've gone over the pros of each drying method, we can talk about some of the cons. The main disadvantage to blow drying your hair is that it can create damage on the cuticle. Like I discussed previously, blow drying is a great way to style, but without the proper products, it can create damage to the outer layer of the hair. A couple tips to help reduce cuticle damage from blow drying are to make sure you're using a heat protectant and to make sure that the hair coming out of the blow dryer never directly touches your hair. Cebu has many great options for heat protection to help your hair stay healthy while you're styling. To check them out, you can go to www.mycebu.com, or you can head over to your closest hair cuttery to check them all out. As for the air, make sure you're keeping your blow dryer at least a couple of inches away from your hair at all times. If the blow dryer directly touches your hair, it can get burned because all of the air has nowhere else to go. So make sure you are all blow drying safely. And last but not least, we all can acknowledge the fact that having a fresh blowout can make you feel like a brand new person, but we can't ignore the time and effort that it takes to maintain this style. The time and energy used to maintain this look isn't super achievable for everyone, and that's okay. But thankfully, we live in 2026, and we have other options available, just like overnight blowout rods. Now that we've gone over the disadvantages of blow drying your hair, we can jump right into the disadvantages of air drying your hair. A couple of these reasons include your hair swelling, bacterial, fungal, and yeast growth, and cell membrane damage. Prolonged exposure to water can cause hydral fatigue, which can create frizz, tangling, breakage, and more. When this happens, your hair experiences degeneration, damage and loss of the hair cuticle, and exposure to the inner layers of your hair, all happening on a microscopic level. This can also lead to the inability of your hair to retain moisture. Once your hair has been stretched to more than 30% of its original size, irreversible damage has been created. Because of this, you want to make sure to not leave your hair wet for extended periods of time. Like we went over in the pros of blow drying, a wet scalp is a hot spot for bacterial, fungal, and yeast growth. If left untreated, an overgrowth of yeast on the scalp can damage hair follicles, which is where your hair grows from, and it can cause shedding. Having a healthy scalp means having healthy hair, so avoid leaving your scalp susceptible to these problems. Backing off of the first con on this list, we're jumping back into prolonged water exposure and how it truly affects the hair. Keeping your hair wet for long periods of time swells the hair, and doing this repeatedly can cause stress and damage to the CMC, also known as the cell membrane complex. This is essentially a glue that holds together the layers of your hair. Once your hair is wet, it's in its most vulnerable state, and a damaged CMC and or cortex from water exposure can actually end up being more damaging for your hair than heat damage from a blow dryer. And now we've reached the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching till the end. I really appreciate it, and I hope I'm able to make more of these videos in the future, so make sure to comment below what topics you'd like to see me go over and explain next. Anyways, now we'll get on to the best way to dry your hair. Now, this way is going to be the best way to reduce damage while drying your hair. Not just the best way to make it visually look appealing, or the most efficient way to do so. Now you might be wondering, Aaron, how do you know that this is the best way to safely dry your hair? The reason I know that is because a study was done. This study analyzed how each drying method affected the hair over a total of 30 times. There were 5 test groups. 1 test group with no treatment. 1 test group dried with a hair dryer at room temperature, which was 20 degrees Celsius. Another dried with a hair dryer for 60 seconds at a distance of 15 centimeters with a degree of 47 degrees Celsius. Another group dried with a hair dryer for 30 seconds at a distance of 10 centimeters at 61 degrees Celsius. And the last group dried with a hair dryer for 15 seconds at a distance of 5 centimeters at 95 degrees Celsius. We can all guess what the first result from this experiment was. As the temperature increased, the damage of the hair increased as well. They also observed that the cell membrane complex was only damaged in the naturally dried group without the hair dryer. The researchers were able to conclude that even though using a hair dryer can cause more surface damage than drying your hair naturally, using a hair dryer at a distance of 15 centimeters away from your hair with a constant motion causes less damage than naturally drying your hair. Because of this, the best way to dry your hair is going to be on a low to warm airflow, keeping it 15 centimeters away from your hair. While blow drying your hair, you also want to make sure to constantly move the airflow around. You don't want all of the heat or airflow to be pointed in one specific spot, because this could cause damage to that area of the hair. And that wraps up the best way to reduce hair damage when you're drying your hair. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun doing research for this video and filming and drawing and scripting everything out. Make sure to comment below what ideas you want to see in the future, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!